It's 8 a.m. You tell yourself, today's the day. You'll finally start that project. You'll finally change something. But then you think, I'll start when I feel ready. Maybe I just need a little motivation first. You wait for that spark, that moment where everything clicks. But it never comes. Minutes turn into hours. Days turn into weeks. And you're still sitting in the same spot, waiting for a feeling that never arrives. What if I told you, motivation isn't the start of progress, it's the result of it? First, the illusion of motivation. Motivation. It's the drug we all chase. That burst of energy that makes you want to start fresh, reorganize your life, and finally become the version of yourself you've always imagined. And in that moment, it feels real. You're inspired, focused, unstoppable. But then, the feeling fades. The next morning doesn't feel the same. The notebook stays empty. The routine falls apart. That's because motivation was never built to last. It's an emotion, not a system, and emotions change faster than the weather. Motivation tricks you. It tells you, when I feel good, I'll do good. But the truth is the opposite. You do good work first, and then you feel good. See, when you imagine yourself succeeding, your brain releases dopamine. That's the little chemical that makes you feel excited and hopeful. But when you actually start the hard work, the repetition, the boredom, the discomfort, that dopamine drops, and your brain panics. It wants the high back, so it searches for the next inspiration hit, and the cycle begins again. Dream, dopamine, delay. That's why motivation feels powerful, but fragile. It gives you the illusion of progress without the pain of doing. It keeps you dreaming instead of starting. The problem isn't that you lack motivation. The problem is that you depend on it. Because if your actions only happen when you feel like it, your goals will always wait for your mood to change. Second, the trap. Here's the trap. We don't just wait for motivation, we depend on it. We tell ourselves, I'll start when I feel inspired. I'll do it when the timing feels right. But that perfect moment? It doesn't exist. The truth is, you don't need more motivation. You're already motivated, just in the wrong direction. You're motivated to stay comfortable, to stay safe, to avoid failing. And the more you wait for that magical feeling to show up, the more resistance grows. You start to believe a lie, that your best work happens under pressure. But that's not mastery. That's survival. You've just gotten better at running from the fear of starting. Motivation was supposed to move you forward. Instead, it became your excuse to stand still. Every time you wait to feel ready, you're teaching your brain that waiting is safer than doing. And that's how dreams die. Not from failure, but from hesitation. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to start, even scared, even small. Third, the science of starting. So, how do you break free from the motivation trap? How do you start when every part of you screams, not yet? You start anyway. Because here's what science says. Action comes before motivation. When you take action, no matter how small, your brain releases dopamine. The same chemical that made you excited before you started now begins rewarding you for doing. It's called the progress loop. You act, you feel progress, your brain gives you a reward. You want to act again. That's the real secret. You don't wait to feel motivated. You create motivation by moving. Think about it. Have you ever started cleaning your room, and 10 minutes later, you're suddenly on fire with energy? That's your brain realizing, oh, we're actually doing this. The hardest part isn't the work, it's the first step. Because once you start, your brain shifts from fear mode to focus mode. Neuroscientists call this the activation energy, the mental spark needed to push you over that first hill. But once you're rolling, momentum takes over. Motivation isn't what gets you started, it's what meets you halfway. So stop waiting for the spark. Strike the match yourself. Because action doesn't follow motivation. Motivation follows action. Fourth, the system that replaces motivation. So if motivation fades, what keeps you moving? Systems. Systems don't care how you feel. They don't rely on energy or inspiration or a perfect mindset. They rely on structure. A system is a promise you make to yourself, one that doesn't break when your mood changes. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't need to be motivated to do it. You just do it, because it's part of who you are. That's the secret to consistency. Not passion, not pressure. Design. Here's how you build it. 1. Make it too small to fail. Shrink your task until it's impossible to say no. Don't write a book. Just open the document. Don't go to the gym. Just put on your shoes, because tiny actions grow faster than perfect plans. 2. Anchor it to something automatic. Link your new habit to something you already do. After coffee, I'll write. After brushing my teeth, I'll read. It's called habit stacking, and it makes starting effortless. 3. Remove friction. Every decision drains energy. So make your environment do the work. The fewer choices you have to make, the easier it is to begin. These systems might feel small, even boring, but that's the point. Motivation is loud and short-lived. Systems are quiet, and they last forever. You don't need to chase energy. You need to build rhythm. And last thing, the reframe. Here's the truth. Motivation isn't what you need. You've had enough of that. What you need is trust. Trust that you can start without feeling ready. Trust that small effort still counts. Trust that consistency, not intensity, is what builds real change. You don't need to feel inspired to do something meaningful. You just need to show up, especially when you don't feel like it. Because that's how momentum is built. That's how identity is shaped. That's how you stop being the person who waits and become the person who moves. Motivation doesn't create progress. Progress creates motivation. So don't wait to feel ready. Start before you're ready. Because once you move, your mind and your life will follow.